Gorelczenko. They were just very important members of our congregation. They came in as new members and just got to work and shared all of their gifts with us, which are innumerable. So we're so happy to welcome them here live from Germany. So they'll tell us about their faith journey and what how they got to Nativity and what it means to them. So I'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And yeah, so we were trying to when we were talking about this, neither of us can remember when we joined Nativity. We cannot remember when we started. No. It's been several years, so let's just go with that. Our girls are now 26 and 24, and they were in high school, early high school when we started at Nativity. So it's been kind of a while. So the reason why we actually, and as I was saying, I think all of you heard this, but we have one of our girls is in Germany and one is still there in Minnesota. She's living in Apple Valley. So Erin, actually our youngest, was confirmed through Nativity. So she did do that. Mm-hmm. And we actually ended up coming to Nativity because we were both born and raised Catholic. And both of us went to Catholic school. Either Pete went all the way through high school. I went through 8th grade. And we were at a couple of different Catholic churches in the Twin Cities once we moved to Minnesota. And then a lot of the things that were going on in the Catholic Church, we found it to be not very open, not very tolerant, not very accepting. And that just got to be more and more difficult for us as time went by. And so we have a very good friend, some of you may know, Jamie Paget, and she knew what we were going through and was kind of feeling the same way. And she's actually the person that introduced us to Nativity. And started by sending us newsletters and things that she got from the bishop, and then said, if you guys want to go one Sunday, we could just go. And so we started going to a few of the services with Jamie, and we found Nativity to be very open and very welcoming. And when Nativity says all are welcome here, they really mean all are welcome here. And that was not our experience before that.
No, before that it was, I remember being part of the group that was working on their mission statement or how they were to describe themselves, and it was all are welcome. And then my take on the end of that was accept you, only if you don't practice. And, it was one of those things for me. I was ready to start looking elsewhere much sooner than Mary. Yeah. There are just things that didn't sit well. And having two girls, that could never celebrate or be, if they wanted to,
go into ordained ministry.
Or depending on who their significant others would be, marry. Because people, I'm just thinking, because again, it was very incongruous inside of me to kind of think about this. Cognitive dissonance is a good word. I was always looking for something else. So my journey, I've always been on a journey from a long time back, and it was nice to begin to come to a point where I could say that someplace was my home. And that ended up being Nativity. I remember giving a talk or a reflection, and it was like, thinking about what I believed in, who I was, why I believed certain things, tolerant of others, tolerant of other religions. And then I just didn't know at the time that I was already Episcopalian. I just had to, come to realize that.
Exactly. Yeah, so it was a very good fit for us too, because of our Catholic upbringing. I don't know, I won't speak for you, but for me, the order of the service of an Episcopalian service is very similar to a Catholic Mass. So I felt very comfortable with that. So that was helpful. And then for me, one of the first things too that I remember, I was very impressed with I'm going to not have the right words here, but the law that was passed in Minnesota to allow gays to marry. Nativity wrote a position letter on that, and like a lot of people from the community got together to help draft that letter. And I was so impressed with that process and how different voices, were heard, and everybody had a chance to say their piece and kind of say what they thought. But it was so, it was very gentle. It was very open. And they came up with a really good letter, I thought, with their position. And I had never really been a part of anything that was so controversial of an issue that was handled so well. So I was really impressed with the people at Nativity for the way that they were able to come together and do that. So that's been my experience with Nativity has been, just open, welcoming, and such a diverse population. I love that. And and then as a result, I had an opportunity at Nativity. One of the first things I did, I helped out with God We Play, which was very fun. And I always liked, and then it's just strange to see the kids like when they were, 5, and then all of a sudden they're driving. And I don't understand how that happened. But so I had an opportunity to do that. I did some work on the gala committee, which was very fun. Both going to those and then getting to know the group that put that on, which is a major undertaking, and again, a great group to work with. And then Pete had a lot of things he was involved in.
It's one of those things that I decided at that point, okay, I found a home, so let's just kind of jump into this. And that's kind of what I did, and that's kind of the way I do things. I kind of jumped into it with both feet. One of the things that I was really good at, in fact, I shouldn't say really good, but it's computers. It's how to set up, networks, how to get things online. Mainly because it was a hobby, and and for my job, I'm doing my hobby. So I thought, well, I'm at home, and I remember Doug Moss saying that this was his home and that he gets to play around in his home. So I remember that so much. It's like, okay, well, they need, they need computers. They need to talk to each other. They need to connect with each other. And right around that time, there was Bob. And, it all just kind of, and it all just kind of gelled in, and I started to kind of fit in, kind of do some things, became more responsible for things, and again,
On Vestry too.
oh yeah, true, and I was on Vestry, and it was funny, before I got on Vestry, and I just remember, who was that came up to me? Oh, I can't remember now. Never mind. I won't say it. But anyway, I was asked to run for vestry, and I started out with the membership committee, and of which the Zeitlers came by and they took that over. And it's really neat to see how far and where they are. That was another neat kind of thing. But then being on vestry, it was just kind of got me aware of all the different aspects of the parish, of my home, all the different aspects. Just like I was at my other home, I could do plumbing, I could do minor repair work and stuff like that. Well, notice that in my new home, I could do the computers. I had an interest toward doing reflections, which Dana was so gracious and let me do. That was very rewarding. I wanted to try that. I got to actually grow in who I was, ultimately in my faith, but ultimately too, being on that journey, I come to realize that, wherever you are, that's your home, and you should do the most you can, because then what happened was I had an opportunity to come here. And I feel very proud and happy that I was able to contribute at a time when nativity needed it, wanted it. And so I see little pieces of me there, especially with the Easter service, the Christmas service, the Christmas, it was the pageant. And that was just one of the best ones I've
Yeah,
seen.
that was, we enjoyed that thoroughly. That was so
Yeah.
well done. So
It wa-
well done this year.
It was actually Nativity who introduced us to the pageant. Normally in other churches, they would do a small pageant that was just inside the service, not like the entire service is kind of involved with the pageant. And so much so, the pageant of St. Jamie. Um, so much so, we went to the pageant that was here in our local town, which was very wonderful to see and very, instead of having narrators, they had two snails that would tell the story. Why? I'm not quite sure, but it made it. It worked. Um, so I was just very, it, you know, nativity is a very, I'm I always wish I could do more, but I was happy for what I did, and I'm glad for what I got to contribute while I was there. And so part of the journey is I'm here, and that's just the way it worked out. But I still feel some I'm a part every now and then. We kind of take in a service every now and then, when we have time. But now my life is leading elsewhere, and to be quite honest, I don't know where it's going to end up or where. I mean, I hope it never ends. It probably won't, but there'll be something else.
Someplace else to go.
Yeah.
One other thing too, I'll mention, he talked about, you know, the faith journey and growth. And one of the things that's been really nice at Nativity has been some of the adult faith formation options. You know, some of the programs that we've been part of, the Bible studies and the different programs with different speakers coming in and that kind of thing. That's been a really nice resource to have. And kind of the other side of the coin, we did some of the volunteering things, which was great, but then we were also, which we were definitely fed by, but then that other part of some of the adult faith formation work that we got to do also was very nourishing and really good experience for us on multiple occasions. So.
Well, you guys were instrumental in bringing Art Zanoni to us, weren't you?
That was
Yes, yes. I was so happy to do that, actually. That was something I've always, I'm in the Catholic churches or the parishes where I work, he would come around, and I made it a point to always go to see him. And really didn't get to know him really until we went to Israel with he and Dana and a whole bunch of other folks. And it's just, to have somebody who can speak and know ancient Hebrew and Greek and explain why and what and the meanings and so on, coming from a literature background, I really appreciate that because no one writes a story or a piece of literature just for the heck of it. Usually, like the Modest Proposal, that was written so that, because of what England was doing to Ireland. And, it's things like that. Why? Well, and that was really nice.
Mike Strandy, when he
Yes.
did those classes too, was awesome in that way too, offering some background and some explanation in terms of why things were written the way they were and who they were written for and that kind of information. I always enjoyed that too.
And up until that point, I had never had a Bible study on Exodus, on the Exodus stories, and that to me was well worth any time, any money, any what. Is he still doing stuff there?
No, we haven't had him back. Of course,
Okay.
it's been different with COVID.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know,
We've kind of used more of our own resources
good,
recently,
good.
you guys and Kathleen. So we haven't really reached out to do outside speakers yet.
It makes sense. I mean,
Yeah,
otherwise you'd have to
probably
do a
will.
Zoom thing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
But
yeah.
that's kind of our story. You have anything else to?
No, no, it was a fast little, I feel as though it was a fast little whirlwind, but I consider Nativity my home. And I can always go back there, you know, if I ever get back there because of COVID. You know, we'll go by, we'll see, and I'll look around, and I'll have good memories from there.
Absolutely.
So how
Well,
about you?
we
Yeah.
definitely have good memories of having you with us too, and hope to, when you're able to travel and come back to, come in
Yeah.
with us. So
Yeah, no,
we'll put it up
I was
for
thinking
questions.
about that. Hmm?
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Diane.
No, I was just going to say we'll open it up to questions if anybody has.
Yeah, sure.
I appreciated what Pete said about it felt like home, because that's what the Episcopal Church has always felt like to me. That's home. And
Yeah,
Nativity, especially. I mean, people talk about welcoming. Yeah, they opened their arms and said, "Hey, we're glad to have you."
exactly.
Yes, absolutely. And we felt that way from the very beginning. We did do a little bit of church shopping in this interim period, and Nativity just was exactly what you're saying. We felt very welcome from the very first time we walked in the door. And then, there were all of these other aspects of openness and acceptance and just feeling comfortable and people being very approachable and easy to talk with, and it was just very easy to feel a part of the community from the very beginning. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I was going to say, since we have everything set up on Zoom, you could always join us for, like Bible study tomorrow morning at 10:30 our time. I don't know what time that would be for you.
No, that's 3:30 our time.
Yeah. See?
in the
No.
afternoon.
No, it's 10:30 in the morning, but
Yeah, it's
10:30.
10 in the morning there now.
Oh yeah, you're right. I'm going backwards.
He's
you know?
going the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, that's true. What are you guys doing for Bible study?
Right now we're doing Amy Jill Levine's Jesus's Parables.
Oh,
And I don't know if you're familiar with the author, but she's actually a rabbi, and she teaches in divinity school in New York. So she approaches the parables through a first century Jewish viewpoint.
Nice.
interesting.
Yeah, but that's fantastic.
There it is. Diane's got it up.
All right. Fantastic.
Well, good. Yeah.
Yeah, because that perspective is not often out there. And to me, that's always been a valuable perspective, which is what I had hoped and what was focused on. And that was nice. Why it was nice having Art because he gave you that perspective. Yeah. And being a quote unquote, theologian who could also pass as a rabbi because he's just that way. And having being Italian where he uses his hands a lot, which I felt bad for him when I broke his arm because then he couldn't talk anymore. So, anyway. Any other questions? I mean, I'm sorry, it's kind of short, but it's how do you talk about home? It's like it's something you also take for granted in a way, Oh yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times where I would not have to go to nativity, and my family would say, "Oh, What's the matter? Why aren't you there? Well, I set everything up so I could access it from home. So, you know, I don't know. Go ahead.
No, I mean. and
I
other-
have many incredible memories of Mary and Pete. Luckily, I do try to stay somewhat in contact with them. But my very, very, very first was I came to Nativity, and Diane was there too, to a vestry meeting, and Gretchen was there. You guys were all on vestry, and I think the vestry wasn't expecting me to show up. And I was coming to like find out, a little bit more about the parish before I started. And I think I came to the September meeting and I was starting in October. And that was my first experience of Nativity vestry and some of the leaders. And I'll never forget sitting on a table where a couple of Pete's homemade brewed bottles of wine, and no one said a word, but no one ever opened the bottles or
That's too funny.
Well, they were kind of feeling you out, to
Yeah.
say,
yeah, I was like, I probably should have told them I was coming, but and I just remember that was a great first experience. And then my first day at Nativity, there was, of all things, a new member team meeting.
Mhm.
And the new member team meeting was at Mary and Pete's house. So my first day, I got to go to a new member team meeting, and that was really, I think Pete and Mary were like the first people I really like met and got to know at Nativity, and they were just wonderful friends from that point on. But I remember sitting around the kitchen table at your house and just feeling just so included, and it was a wonderful way to have a first day at Nativity. And I'll always thank you for that.
oh, yeah.
That was a wonderful treat for us, because so many times when you have at any church, a lot of times, the pastors they're busy.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily get to meet them.
Not that you weren't busy.
Well, no, but for you to be able to come to be at the
Yeah.
house for the meeting, and we got to actually really talk with you and get to know you a little bit. And that was very fun. And we were very happy that you were there. And I mean, like, not just at our house, but that you were, your ears were probably burning after you left, because we were talking about, I'm so glad we have her. I'm so glad she's the one. So yeah, we were very, very, that was a good meeting.
I usually espouse to the Jesus aspect, but also my mom. When have someone over, you have to have a meal, you have to have, the fellowship, so to speak, and then no one can go home hungry. So that was the whole thing. That's how I started out with the membership committee, having a big picnic and beers and wines, food, and just that's how you get stuff done. Which is why I liked vestry back then, because we had wine and it was mine.
Vestry back then was kind of like happy hour too. We had cheese and
It was,
crackers,
yes.
and people would bring, and then we'd have wine, and we didn't know that we weren't supposed to be having wine during an official meeting. Nobody told us, so
Exactly.
so we were kind of feeling day now. It's like, don't know, should we open up the wine?
Yeah.
But Pete's homemade wine is
Mhm.
wonderful wine. He's a master with the wine making.
Well, thank you very much. People are still finding bottles every now and then.
I still have one.
I haven't made anything now since I've left, and the bottles that are left are getting few and far between. But every now and then, like Jamie found one that was like 10 years old, and popped it open and had a wonderful glass of wine with Aaron and our youngest, and because they've been hanging out a lot as well. So it's just nice. I mean, that's kind of how I am. I got very passionate about things. If I'm going to do wine, I want to make wine that I like. If I want to be at a place, I want to be at a place where I can feel home and I can then, be a part of and contribute. That's
Well,
me.
I don't know the rule or what in the Episcopal churches, you can have alcohol as long as you offer something else, non-alcoholic.
Ah.
Did you know that? Or is that true, Dana? Have you heard that?
Uh-oh.
Oh, you got something in your mouth.
Yeah.
I caught you right at the right time.
There you go. I had heard that. I had heard that too. But I mean, I know that we're doing, the business of the community, and so afterwards, after the meeting, you could have wine.
Well, Pete, you don't want to lose your touch on making wine. So you got to get back at it again.
Okay, now don't encourage him, Dave. We have nowhere to do it here. We have no space.
No space.
I do miss his wine. I do. I mean, the wine here,
However,
the wine here is good, and it's not, and it's pretty inexpensive. But we're still kind of trying to feel our way and find what we like. And it's just so much easier to just go in the other room and grab a bottle that is going to be really good. But no, Dave, don't encourage him, please.
Well, Dave, there's other things I could think about.
Well, I was going to say, you could start a brew house too, as far as that's concerned.
Well, we talked about I'm using like some distilled water now for various and sundry things. I have like a sinus condition, so I have to do like a neti pot and all. But I'm like, Mary, I can easily get a distiller online, and I can make my own distilled water. Yeah,
Sure.
I could.
Or take the distillery.
Well, who knows what might happen to fall into the pot?
Uh-huh.
But no, I do somewhat miss that. But
Well, he can't drink it anymore either.
no,
wine. He
no,
can't drink
I
the
can't
wine
drink it
anymore either because of allergies.
But that's not the point is, I got to that point. I don't know. Sometimes I like doing things and then I'll do them. And then it's like, okay, in order for me to go to the next step, I have to like either ramp it up because I'm getting too old to be carrying 60-pound or 70-pound carboys around. So then it's like, okay, no, I don't want to keep on doing this. Go to the hospital. Well, how did you get hurt? Well, I was carrying a 70-pound thing of wine. And so, no, I mean, it's nice. I'm happy that I did it. Just like I am happy that I was at Nativity and I became really more of who I am through Nativity. And and now I'm on the next part of my journey, and yeah.
And isn't that what God wants for us anyway, is to become more of who we are?
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. And,
But you still have your memories.
Yes.
Yes, at least for now.
Yeah.
That can go.
But,
I always said that if I'm ever in my, if I ever have dementia or I can't remember who I am, just put me in a chair, give me a glass of scotch, and I'll be happy rocking back and forth.
yes.
All of that. So, but I'm not sure if Dana can actually have this.
Yes, you may not be able to keep this recorded part. I don't know.
Probably not. Yes, it was a short.
It's a short one this week.
Oh,
Well, I just, thinking about you guys and, everything that you did in Nativity in what to me seems like a short time. Like some of us has been there for 30 years. I mean, you guys weren't with us that long, but you just did so much. I mean, the vestry, I remember being on a committee, a hiring committee with UP.
Oh, yes,
Yeah, I
yes,
mean, just
all
on
of
and
that.
on, you know, with any technology stuff, we were looking for Pete.
Liturgy.
Liturgy, yep.
Yeah,
That's right. We're on the liturgy committee and, but
and
you
the adult
guys have,
education presentations that you did yourself were wonderful. It was just, you know, when I was kind of adding it all up in my head, you guys did a lot in a short amount of time.
yeah, someone had once said, Pete, yeah, I know you're like that force of nature that came through here. And it's like, well, yeah, because I just found that I could add so much of myself there. And not for any other reason other than I wanted to. So that, yeah, yes, between that
Did you
and
find those opportunities? I mean, did we go after you to invite you, or did you come to us? I mean,
I think coming to a place where I felt welcome, other people felt welcome, not just me, but the people on the fringes could come and be called home. That was home to me. That was one of the places where I wanted to stay and that I wanted to contribute to.
And then I think she was saying, did they come to you or did you offer? I think they.
Oh, you mean like come to Germany?
No. To Nativity, how you got started doing stuff at Nativity.
Well, that was it. I wanted to get involved, and there was a place.
Okay.
One of the first things I attended was one of the sessions by Dennis, Dennis O'Prey, was drafting that letter about our response to
The gay marriage
the
amendment.
gay marriage amendment.
There you go. That's
And what was neat about that was people could sign on whether they wanted to, and if they didn't, there was no judging. There was no, those that wanted to, and then could have their name associated, could then have it sent to the bishop, and have it sent on to like the state capital and so on, which I thought was very, in your family, you have many, many different opinions and outlooks and so on. Heck, I can't mention politics in my family. I have one brother that's really ultra Republican, and the other one that's ultra liberal. And so once you even mention a topic, that all of a sudden heck goes crazy.
It can be actually a
Right.
pretty interesting source of entertainment because you can just say one thing and then step back
Yeah.
and watch it all happen. So
But,
from that perspective, it's
right.
not bad.
But it was respectful of everyone's opinion.
Yeah.
And that's what it. And so at something like that, that's in the back of my head, I'm like, this is not a bad place to be. In my New England vernacular, you'd always say, this is not a bad place to be, meaning it's a really good place to be. And then to have someone like hit you up the side of the head, like my mom up there and wherever she is, hit me upside the head. Well, if you like it, start doing stuff, start contributing, get off your duff, get going. So, and so you folks gave me I have to say, you folks did give me a freedom, a leeway to begin to get myself in there and talk to other people about topics and things that were out of the church and in the church, so that I could begin to get a perspective of what's needed, what's going on, what's valued, how can we get this out there,
Yeah, he was, I will say too, another thing that was really nice about Nativity and him being involved there was, as you guys, most of you know, he works from home. So not a whole lot of stuff going on outside, of him, involved in other things. And it was a really good thing when I met him, he was, this was Mr. Sociable. We would go somewhere on a plane and he would sit next to someone and have like their entire life story by the time we got off, by the time we landed. And then working from home through the years and, you know, when you get involved with the kids and you're very focused on all that, he became a little bit more isolated. And then with Nativity, it was like, there he is, there he is. And, you know, because he was the one after church, everybody was, oh, Pete, hang on just a second. Oh, Pete, I need to chat with Pete. I need to catch you. And it was good. It was a good thing for him. And I think he enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And though he would never have said that, he needed that before it all happened.
Yeah.
But no, that was a great outlet for him to be a part of that, of the Nativity community, and to feel like he was needed and could make a difference. And yeah, it was a good thing. It was a real good thing.
I also remember there being, besides my daughter Nora, Libby,
Yeah.
who would like to sit with you. They would sit with you in church on Sunday mornings.
Yes.
And the cross-generational relationship that you had with kids in the congregation and being a prayer partner. And
Yes.
Yes.
I know.
I mean, it started that way as a prayer partner. And then I just saw Libby at the Christmas, pageant.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh my God, that's Libby. So, but yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where, we got to be prayer partners, and then, well, okay, fine, Easter's over with, but there's, school, and then there's Halloween, and there's, so yeah. So that opportunity, Dana, that was another really wonderful thing because, like my kids were grown, and not that, I was treating her as my kid or anything, but it was good just to see how, again, the wonders that kids can bring to you after you get tired of looking at something for a while. You can see it through their eyes, and it's like, bang.
And even her sister.
Oh, yes. If you see Jane, her sister, if you see Jane, like, stick your tongue out at her. That's something we always had in common. But if you folks see Libby, tell her that I miss her, but I did get to see her, and oh my goodness, how grown up she is.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I follow her mom on Facebook, so I get snippets and pictures of the kids and stuff. It's always fun. So I'm forever, Pete, there are too many people on Facebook. There's too many people on Facebook, so he's not on Facebook.
That's right.
But I'm forever, showing him pictures on my phone. So, yeah.
What's their last name? I don't know who Libby and Jenny.
Oh my goodness.
I'd have to look at my
Years.
phone.
What?
Miss Steers. And they have been
That's right.
altar servers for us at, before we went to 10:15, I think it was 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
What
Because their mom, Erin, was in the choir.
Still sings.
Oh, well, the Steers. Okay, now I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And Libby
Sorry.
used to sit with us when her mom was
Yeah, I remember that.
If we were there, she would sit. And that was just so
That was very
fun.
fun.
And she's such a cutie.
She is, yes, very much so. And then, trying to get her to sing, and it's like I would sneak down to her and I'm going, "Hey, you're not singing." And she'd go, "Yes, I am. I can't hear you." And then she'd belt it out, and okay, I can hear you now. Oh man, yeah. So, like I said, I mean, how can you? I mean, I can talk about home, and every time I think of nativity, or I even say the word, a smile comes across my face. I think of all the fun things that were there, and the characters, and some folks, it's like on certain days, it's like but then you realize, quiet. They have a voice. They have something. They want to talk. Perfect. I can sit here and talk just like the best of them.
Okay, Mary, you you were in many, many nooks and crannies at Nativity,
Yeah.
and in just in our hearts, there's so many of us got to have a relationship with you and got to know you, and you've left so much for us that we have built on, and I just express my gratitude to you and our continued blessings for this next phase of life that you're in, knowing that we will always be happy to have the opportunity to see you.
When I get back, I will definitely come back, because you have to go back home, you know? But
Fingers crossed that that's sooner rather than later, but
it is nice to see what you folks have done with Zoom and being here, having an online presence. That's something I've always thought about back when I was in there, but couldn't, you know, given the stuff that I was doing, I couldn't see beyond that point. And it's nice that Nick and Bob and other folks have taken that to, you have one of the nicest community church presence out on the web. I mean, we've been in there's two Episcopal places here, and you folks have gotten very far. That, you know, and I'm happy. I'm pleased. So it's good that you have the presence out there. I hope that works out. So
I
and
hope we
it
can
will still be
gather
hanging around every now and then. And go from
Well,
there.
if you were here, you'd be tapped to be helping with it for sure.
oh yeah.
Yes, oh yes, yes. In fact, when you do it, I was over there looking at some views from the church, and I'm going, what camera are they using? They can't be using the one that's in the center there, because that's for that, and that's the far. But I've always wanted to get that to the zoom lens. You know, I start thinking of it, and it's like, stop, enjoy the service.
Well, thank you
Speaking of
guys so
which,
much for, I don't know, what time is it? 4 there?
it's time for us to go.
Yeah, it's
Eight.
5.
Okay.
So, oh yeah, this is it. You have services soon.
Yep, we've got to go to church.
All right.
All right.
You know, it has been.
Thank you so
a
much.
pleasure Talking to you.
Very
Thank you.
welcome. Our pleasure. Thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Good to see
Wonderful.
you.
Take care.
I'll
Bye.
see you, Jane.
Bye.
Come home as soon as possible.
Who else is there? Let's see. All right. Take care, folks.
Bye, Karen.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Dunga.
Bye.